today's session is very interesting. Like they say, when you have a big ecosystem, it's good when people talk to each other. So I was having a conversation with Yasin saying, oh, what can we do? And blah, blah, blah. And he said, oh, we can do this and we can do that. And we just started working with Oliver. I said, oh, Oliver from Next Billion. And he said, yes. I said, so you both as members are talking to each other. And that's wonderful to see. So that's where this whole thing started off. We said, everybody knows about blockchain. It's nothing new. There's tons of material out there. What we wanted to discover in these sessions is this the relevant thing for your business? And if it is, how do you go about it? Not a lot of people talk about that unless you pay a huge hefty fee. So that's the session all about over here. Just a couple of house rules before I pass it on to the experts who can talk sense. This platform works great with Chrome. We will have lots of questions and answers, so please put your questions either in chat or in the questions, and we'll keep coming back to them. There will be a few polls in the sessions. Please participate. That really helps. If you have any technical issues, let us know, and we'll try to help you and support you thereon. If you do see kids behind or dogs or other household members, we apologize. We are sharing the space right now with everybody. So yeah, just keep it interactive and have fun. Over to you, Yasin.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Upma, for this introduction. I will do just a quick intro, and bear with me. I'm trying to manage two screens here because I have some notes to make it more concise, and hopefully everybody will understand clearly the topic. So as I said, I'm Yasin. I'm here to talk about how blockchain could be applicable to your business. Thank you, Upma. Thank you, Ezra, for inviting me and organizing this today. Thank you, Oliver, also for joining this. The topic is quite timely, given the current state of the globe. That accelerates the digital transformation. We're going to be hearing more and more about blockchain. So I'd like to dig into some function and benefits. I will go first through the summary. So basically, not knowing exactly what you guys know about the technology, I will have to go through some fundamentals after introducing myself. And why is it a game changer? How is it affecting everything? And why I think every businesses have to start implementing it. Then we will dig into one aspect that is, I think, the new paradigm, that is tokenization. So we'll see what exactly it means. Then we will take an overview of tokens and their segmentations, use cases. Then I'll give a short conclusion and hand it over to Oliver that will introduce Next Billion and how is he using blockchain for his project. And if we have time, hopefully we can take some questions, and I hope we'll have a lot of questions. So yeah, here we go. A little bit about me, about StartupToken. I am Yasin. I have been an entrepreneur for over 10 years, founded several companies, crashed some of them. I've been working in the blockchain space since 2016, originally for a public company that is still listed in London, investing in startups, building blockchain-based applications. I later founded StartupToken, which was built to support the emergence of decentralized organizations. I also recently started a new project called Census, so census.cx, to educate people about money, cryptocurrencies, and finance in general, in order for them to appreciate the cryptocurrency proposition. Because I think that everybody needs a little bit of background to understand how money works, in order then to understand how cryptocurrency works. So yeah, we have a blog and we have this website. Please check it out. So let's kick in. Blockchain. Blockchain fundamentally is, in simple word, is a ledger, right? Ledgers have been recording data and transactions occurring among communities for centuries, such as legal documents, merchant logs, or accounting. Different materials and different form have been used following the technological innovation of their time, but always with the same issue. They are centralized way of storing information. The pain point is that if these ledgers, such as the clay tablet or the papyrus or the telesticks, get compromised, you lose all the data. If they get burned or lost, yeah, we lose all the data that is written in it. Also, only one party controls the data, allowing for compromised security and trust. Then came blockchain. When you look at the timeline, you see the decentralized period where blockchain came in with the distributed ledger technology, or we can hear also DLTs, that solve the problem by broadcasting the inputs in a network of computers that each store a copy, making it impossible to manipulate or lose any data. Don't worry, this sentence will come back quite often, so it will help you to understand, because I'm sure I lost half of the audience right here. But don't worry, yeah, we will dig into that and try to make it more comprehensive. In 2015, this breakthrough won a cover in The Economist of October 2015, defining it this way. The blockchain lets people who have no particular confidence in each other collaborate without having to go through a neutral central authority. Simply put, it's a machine for creating trust. If you want to picture this, imagine really like a gigantic spreadsheet that is public and records in an immutable cryptographic way data on each and every single computer of the network. We don't need to trust each other. We have this public ledger that helps us to simply verify the information, okay? So we see two aspects here, two notions. We see decentralization to make sure that we secure the data, and we see trust that remove the need of a middleman, right? So having said that, why is it so important? Blockchain enables to create this verifiable, trustless system that is tamper-proof and doesn't need a third party. Imagine eliminating the bank to move money, a real estate agent to purchase a house, even the government for tax collection. Imagine a democratic system where each vote would be cryptographically secured and recorded on this immutable ledger. This is a game changer when it comes to foundation and the basic rules of top of which societies and economies are built. Recreating a new system of trust disrupts the way we identify ourselves, the way we share value, and the way we interact as human beings. So this is definitely a very powerful infrastructure. Now, so far, I hope you guys understand the concept. We have solved the problem of security. We have solved the problem of trust. Okay. Now let's dig into exactly what the technology enables. So we have the fundamentals that are defined, that define the first layer. So the foundation layer is the technology and the infrastructure called blockchain. But then you have a second layer called layer 1 or layer 2. It depends. Each school has its own definition. But basically, it's an additional layer that enables the setting protocols and decentralized applications that create the business logic and enable to move digital assets. So this is the process called tokenization. And to me, this is really where you can see all the power of blockchain technology. So I have here for you a definition, but to put it in simple words, tokenization converts the value stored in a physical object, like a painting, real estate, or an intangible object, like gaming asset. You can imagine swords, you can imagine a shield in a game, and also carbon credit, something very hard to, like that is not tangible, that hard to grasp, and convert it into a token to which it's possible to assign properties, rights, and ownership via programs called smart contract. I guess you guys have heard these terms. I'm not going to go too deep into what smart contracts are, but basically, pick it as a program that enables to code an agreement. And as soon as those agreements are accepted, like a peer-to-peer contract, the outcome will be triggered. So traditionally, creating, recording, or trading an asset has always been done via a third party, a broker, a banker, a lawyer. On the blockchain, the tokenization enabled easily to securely transfer this asset, to track it, and provide an immutable record of ownership without the need of a middleman. So tokenizing is basically just giving a second life of an asset on the blockchain. And here we're going to see some example of cryptographic assets. So you have, we call them tokens. Okay, going from fungible tokens, meaning replaceable by an identical asset like money. When you have a coin, all the coins look alike, so we call them fungible. To coins and also commodities, to non-fungible tokens, so unique assets such as artwork or individual identity. Okay, we can tokenize all these assets. The fact that we can tokenize them allow us to easily quantify, fractionalize, and monetize anything, most of which had not measurable means before, like carbon credit. How can we measure carbon credit? Tokenizing it will enable to do that. Or like attention, okay? Like, can you believe that thanks to blockchain, we can monetize, we can tokenize and give a way to evaluate, to measure attention. And you have a tremendous project called Basic Attention Token that is a token that is embedded in a browser, the Brave browser, where you can get paid by the time you allowed to watch ads. It's terrific. So you could also monetize your bandwidth. Can you imagine that you have an extra bandwidth and you want to make a little bit money of it? You could tokenize and sell the bandwidth, your Wi-Fi. Things that were not possible before. So we can fractionally pay for the precise amount of content we consume instead of wastefully pay a membership. Imagine you're watching Netflix and you pay for like the minutes you are watching a movie, the seconds. How many times do you watch and we stop? And sometimes we don't have access to internet. We don't watch it. What if we could precisely pay for the content we're watching? We can own fraction of real estate, and for owners, the possibility to sell a piece of a real estate or an artwork. There is this project, a tremendous project that has been where we tokenize an Andy Warhol painting. Can you imagine that 40% of a $15 million painting has been tokenized and sold? So the owners still have the asset, but he has a part of it that is owned by people around the world. So you could hold a piece of an Andy Warhol painting. So this is really amazing. So the mathematics in blockchain breaks limitations, create a more inclusive system, able to onboard more people, and therefore create more liquidity. There are three major categories of tokens. You have utility tokens that can move within an ecosystem. You can think about a vending machine. So we give this example quite often. You put a token in a vending machine and it gives you a good, okay? Or like if you play gaming, an arcade, you put a token and you have access to the game. So this is what we call a utility or a network token. And then you have the security tokens, that are tokens representing securities, bond, stocks, and the third type of tokens is the payment tokens. So one of the most famous crypto currency is obviously Bitcoin, but now we're hearing more and more about other corporate money like Libra, or central bank currencies like the central bank currency of China, a digital dollar that will probably come soon. All these kind of tokens are called currency tokens. So yeah, the next slide, we're gonna look at some examples of assets that are breaking through the world of blockchain. Here you see we have, so tokenized dollar. I was just mentioning about it. It's the most important asset that is getting tokenized today. Bitcoin has initiated this upheaval by offering to the internet its universal currency, and permissionless and neutral, not controlled by any government. Anybody can use it at any time. And it has been followed by this new trend of stable coins that basically represent those government issue currencies, but without the central bank, without the bank themselves. So it's really interesting to see that we have a new financial system that's put in place and doesn't need a bank. Can you imagine that? So other type of tokenized assets is this NBA player that decided to put his contract on the blockchain, tokenize it, and offer it to his fans. So basically, he understands the value his fans are bringing to him and to the ecosystem. So he decided to tokenize the contract and give it to all. It's a kind of crowdfunding, but basically he will enable every individual that own a token to benefit from all the revenue he will generate. This was not feasible before. Here, this is a peer-to-peer transaction that will happen thanks to the blockchain. We have also this use case of real estate property tokenized in New York, $30 million, but this is like there are every day a new use case of assets being tokenized and offered to people. So what about you guys? So let's go and look at concrete example where you could use for your business this technology. So I have here first Circle. So Circle basically give you access to a digital dollar and can help you tokenize all your money. What happened is that you will have to go through an onboarding process, but you will at some point be able to turn your digital dollar into a cryptocurrency, so a token moving on the blockchain, and that can be exchanged to pay for goods and services. So you should check it out and see if it can help you. What is tremendous, the proposition here is that you won't need to go through a bank anymore. You won't have any fees, any delay, any spread. It's instantaneous. You send the money to someone, no matter where he is, he will receive it instantaneously at the fraction of the cost. Okay, I don't know if you guys do international business, but it's really changing your life. When you do a wire transfer and you wait for 3 days, you don't know when the person gonna receive it, how much it's gonna cost you, if there is a conversion rate, the amount you're gonna spend. So it's unbelievable that in 2020 the financial system doesn't allow such result as what cryptocurrency can do. Then you have so Bitwage. Bitwage enable you to tokenize the payroll and start paying your employees in cryptocurrencies. Amazing. You have storage in the bottom, which is a decentralized cloud storage. You can store all your data using a cryptocurrency called storage. But also, what is interesting is that you can allocate to the community your own storage and get a revenue out of this. Okay, so it's all done by secured, proven cryptographic program, and that is available because everything is open source in blockchain. So you can check it out, have your developer check it out, but you would see the community is massive. So a lot of people are already using this and earning money by allocating some of their data, of their storage to the community. And last, we have securitized. So this is very interesting for you guys, and this is where I think the massive breakthrough will come. Basically, you will have securitized can help you to tokenize your company's equity and start to sell your shares to investors in one click. You will have a tokenized cap table. You will have exactly at any given time the asset value of your company. So the valuation could be disclosed at any point. And even better, when regulation will allow it, and I hope it will happen pretty soon, but there is a massive pressure from the industry, you will be allowed to even better, when regulation will allow it, you will have a capital markets to trade SMEs shares. And this is where really we have a tremendous opportunity for you guys. Can you imagine that if you do like all the burden you go through when you raise funds, you have to go through legal assistance and issue the same paperwork that is cumbersome, that is it's not aligned with our time. We need to have everything digitized, but more than digitized, tokenized. By tokenized, you can really, by the swipe of the fingers, send your equity to anyone, a share of your company, and get instantaneownely paid for that. Okay, and also look at all the rights of a share. So if you intend to give dividend, your stakeholder, your owners, your token holders will get a share of this of the revenue. So this is tremendous. The opportunity here is so big because it's even better than the traditional stock market. We will have something that is more efficient, more inclusive, and therefore more liquid than traditional stock markets. And because everything will be ruled by smart contracts, it will happen 24/7. Okay, so like the cryptocurrency market today never stops. At 5 p.m. or like whatever country we are, there is no time zone. There is no day off. The market runs all the time. It won't need you. It won't need a middleman. It will work by itself. So this is real, tangible application you can use for your company right now. There are many other use cases that are available. I put it here. I'm sorry, we probably cannot see because the graph is quite small, but you will have access to those presentation and see exactly in details all the use cases that are presented. But it's affecting all, it's going across all the industries, healthcare, identity, supply chain, everything goes on the blockchain. So there are thousands of solutions that have been built leveraging blockchain technology. The internet turned information into electronic mails and markets into electronic commerce. The blockchain do exactly the same thing, but with assets and value. So in the early 2000s, businesses were thought to exist on the internet. And I think in 2020, businesses need to be or use a blockchain. The permissionless and borderless aspect of it enable to put the whole world on the same network, no silos of data, with the possibility to trade and commerce efficiently, peer-to-peer, and without the need of trust. So you have today only half of the world's population that have a bank account, and 60% have access to internet. So the next financial revolution, guys, will be on the web, but without the banks. For entrepreneurs, it's crucial to break through and start adopting blockchain to have access to the next biggest marketplace on earth. So that was my final slide. I hope I didn't lose you guys, and it was interesting. I will hand it over to my friend Oliver, who will present a real use case of how is he using blockchain in his business. So, hey, Oliver, if you still here, my friend, take it over.
Certainly. Thank you, and hear me okay? The internet is a little bit weak today.
Yeah, I do hear you.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you very much for having me, and everyone, thank you for joining this this call this afternoon. I wanted to just give you a quick intro about myself and the company, and then we can dive right into kind of our exploring blockchain. So just to start from scratch, my name is Oliver. I'm managing director of Next Billion, and we're a for-profit social enterprise based in Singapore at level 3. We originally started as a rural marketing agency, creating pop-up movie theaters in rural villages all across Asia as a way to bring people together with entertainment, and then use that touch point as a way to introduce positive products, services, behavior change, but also collect consumer data and sell products direct to consumers. And over the past few years, we've now been kind of narrowing that business into focus really heavily on a lot of digital channels, and now really focus on two main things which are relevant for today's conversation. One is collecting consumer contact details and allowing large companies and brands to more effectively capture consumer contact details, but also issue rewards for those details. And secondly, also creating a B2B e-commerce platform, allowing small retailers in Bangladesh to actually order all of their products in one place and access affordable financial services. And in doing both of these things, data and traceability is both for understanding the origin of consumer data or understanding, the flows of goods through the supply chain for our retail work. So, I'm happy to talk about our business, but really what I thought would be helpful is to talk about how maybe a startup like ours approaches blockchain in general. Yassine gave a really great overview of all the different use cases and potential utility of blockchain. And for us, I won't even pretend to be a blockchain expert, but it is a very valuable tool that we see complementing a lot of our work. And I'll give you a few kind of examples of that. So one potential utility of blockchain to our work right now could be making sure that everyone who enters our platform from a consumer perspective or from shops buying from us, we can document in a transparent way how they came into our platform and also what their interactions were, and do so in an immutable way so that we can track those transactions over, so that all of these transactions are coming from different places, different platforms. So using blockchain in a way that allows us to create this ledger without necessarily having to own it or build it ourselves necessarily. Another way too is using blockchain so that we're able to understand the flow of products through our supply chain, so that we know that order took place. We know the type and the conditions of that order, and then providing that information to financial service partners to help to establish a credit record for people who don't necessarily have formal banking channels, as in parts of Southeast Asia. So kind of many different utilities for our own business, but also a lot of different ways that we got to this point. But before I even go any further, maybe I can pause there. And Yassine, where do you think would be kind of the most helpful to drill down further and talk more about this?
So, yeah, I mean, in your ecosystem, what we see today, I think, is the problem of the major problem that comes to us from entrepreneur like you. I would say first, like the payment system. We have a world that is, as I was saying, like half of the world's population on the internet today. But to interact, to exchange messages, it's seamless. We have several platforms. We can communicate. There's no borders for that. But money today has borders, right? If we want to transact, if I want to send today money to Bangladesh, I don't even know where to start. If I want to pay a farmer in Africa and buy a product, I don't know where to start. It's unbelievable that in 2020, the financial system has failed in this to put everybody on the same platform and help everyone at a fraction of the cost to exchange value. So I think the opportunity will be the first big move will be the payment that going to be sold and facilitate the exchange, the trade of assets. And I will resonate here by one of the questions that is asked by Claire. So if you guys allow me, I will swing with the Q&A. I think we have very good questions here. So what explains Libra moderate success since its launch? Do you see this evolving in the short term? I think the Libra example is really, on one hand, exciting and scary. Exciting because we have here the beginning of what we could consider a new monetary system. Can you imagine that corporates will be issuing tokens, will be issuing money? And today, Facebook, because even though it's a consortia, it's a group of people, of companies that are getting together and are trying to create a decentralized infrastructure for payment, it will rely essentially on the network of Facebook. That today, I think the numbers are saying 2.5 billion people that are on that platform and that are apparently active. But I think 2.5 include also WhatsApp and Instagram. So can you imagine these guys tomorrow having a pop-up in their account saying, hey, you have 10 Libra coin, start paying your favorite merchant in Vietnam with this coin. And this Vietnam merchant has already a Facebook account, okay? He has no bank account, he has no POS, but he has a Facebook account. So this will be just tremendous. The adoption, and I'm sure Facebook will know how to do that in a proper way, but the user experience will be tremendous and the adoption will be immediate. And here we're gonna, it will be tremendous because we will have a new way for people to pay and exchange value. But on the other side, are we gonna give up our privacy for this convenience? Now, to just answer, so Libra it's not a moderate success. I mean, it's a massive challenge because you can imagine that to create a universal currency that they're trying to build, to do so, Bitcoin, the founder of Bitcoin, have chosen the decentralized way, the anonymity. So we don't know who is the founder of Bitcoin, but it was the only way to bring this to the public. Because when you create such things where you challenge institutionals, when you challenge the government, I mean, you're exposing yourself to a major risk. So the idea was to create something out of, nothing. So it appears on the internet, it started to be traded, and it grew because it was answering to a problem. But if you look at Libra is facing a massive barrier, that is the regulation. How can you put a cryptocurrency that has a stable value in different world? How can you have in different countries? So how can you have the assets that could be exchanged in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, in the US, and able to trade using the traditional infrastructure, using the traditional regulation? It's very, very hard. So this is why the project, I think, has not a moderate success. It just has a very difficult time to go through all this cumbersome and regulation. So that was first question. I hope I answer also, Oliver, to yours by bringing the payment as a first solution. But I think also the other aspect might be supply chain. Supply chain is definitely a massive topic that where blockchain makes sense, because you could track the ownership, you can track where goods went through and how they be treated. You can collect a tremendous amount of data. Of course, everything will be recorded cryptographically, so you won't have a specific data that you can read like you're reading a spreadsheet. You will have, if you need to get the information, you will have it, because you will identify the actors that are behind and on the infrastructure, and see clearly that this merchant hold the goods, or this supplier went through a process where he respected the organic rules. So it will be a very big game changer for all the businesses that are trying to exchange goods today. Maybe if you don't mind, I'll jump into the next question: how to solve problems of mapping between digital world, token and smart contract, and real human world. I mean, in any case, it should be some organization or agency who guarantees some ownership by law. Yeah, it's a tough question, but today we have like a simple example is, once again, to prove to prove on the blockchain is quite easy. You can, if you are, so I need to go back to some technical specificities of blockchain, but basically behind each user of the blockchain, there is something called a wallet. So wallet represent two keys. There is a public and the private key. So each individual, when they will be acting on the blockchain, they will be represented by this public key. And we have a very interesting example, is that somebody's claiming, to give you a concrete example, somebody's claiming that he is Satoshi Nakamoto, the founder of Bitcoin, if you guys haven't heard of this. Whole the community is asking simply, okay, if you want to prove that you are Satoshi Nakamoto, we know that the first block created on the Bitcoin blockchain hold a certain amount and is the block issued by the founder or the founders. So if you are really the owner of this asset, you can move a asset, make transaction between two wallets. You can send money from this amount of Bitcoins that is held in this block, and prove your identity. If you claim you are this person, you have access, you have what we call the private key. So it's the kind of password that enables to access to this public key. So I'm sorry, this is quite technical, but this is a little bit connection to map the identity with this representation on the blockchain. So far, just to say that this person that is claiming that his Satoshi hasn't been able to move the fund, so we consider that he's not Satoshi. I hope it was helpful and answered the question. I think, Oliver, you have a question here. I don't know if you see it.
Yes, I just saw it. Thank you very much. So how has blockchain helped our business and made a difference? So I'll admit we're at the very early stages of our blockchain journey. But I will give you kind of an example of kind of what has drawn us into the fold and why we're thinking about this very seriously. So in Bangladesh, for example, in this retail use case that we were describing with supply chain and a little bit of payments, the dynamic that we're operating in is that we work with several thousand small retail shops, like mom and pop shops. And each of those shops is served by about 20 to 50 different company distributors. So these are different companies all trying to sell different products to that shop. So then you have kind of many layers of distributors selling to many layers of shops. And then if you're a banking partner and you want to start to extend credit to these stores, it becomes very difficult to actually know what the store is buying because, as I'm sure many people on this call have seen, kind of in your journeys up stage or beyond, a lot of these with records and very pen and paper records, on distraction and going on with their day. So what we're looking for, and specifically in our blockchain search, is finding a way to integrate a pretty basic technology that can underwrite all of these transactions that's happening, so that we can begin to create this type of ledger that allows us to underpin this supply chain and use that information to extend a little bit more confidence to banks about who it is that they're dealing with and what their behavior is like. And it doesn't necessarily need to expose all of their information kind of in full, but at least being able to show kind of how you could trace this back. And that's kind of one of the reasons why we've started to explore in this space. And different needs for different types of stakeholders, but in our use case, this has proven to be a pretty decent first step towards providing that confidence to the many different stakeholders in this ecosystem.
I think there's a chat here. Private public keys are not human willed. Okay, so just another comment came. Private public keys are not human willed. I think I'm not gonna go too deep into this because it might sound a bit too technical, but just to summarize, we can consider that the private keys are the human representation, cryptographic representation of a human, and the public key is the representation on the blockchain. So each public key is associated to a private key, but once again, it might be a bit too complicated to talk here. I don't want to go into technical stuff, but happy to chat with Leah Bukalov, that is writing in the Q&A. I just wanted to add something about the stage at which we are right now, and I want to congratulate Oliver to do this step of trying to put his business on the blockchain and seeing the opportunity. Of course, you can imagine that today we can make an analogy with the first internet, okay, the internet of information that started. You remember, for those that are my age, remember that when you started to have your first email address, it made no sense to have an email address if your friends, your family didn't have an email address, right? Because who am I going to send it to? Today, it's a little bit the same situation. you want to pay your employees with cryptocurrency, but your employees don't have a wallet yet. They are not educated about that, or your supplier or your client don't have yet a wallet. It's a matter of adoption. We need people to be more educated about that, and this is the role that we took from at StartupToken. I am an evangelist. I think really this technology brings a lot of value and empower the individual. So I try to help people to understand it, and I know it's very complex. But once you get the mindset, you really understand the value. So today we are at the beginning. What you're doing, Oliver, is really like somehow it's serving the ecosystem because you're trying to do it. It's completely irrelevant because offering this solution, your customers, the customers of your shop today, really can take a smartphone, and I'm sure Bangladesh has over 50% of the population that hold a smartphone, that have access to internet. They can right away be part of a financial system. They download the wallet, the merchant can they can interact. They can easily create their own token. The merchant can create a token. You can create a token. It's in the same way Libra is creating a token. We can have next billion token. You create a financial system and give a value to an asset in your token and help people to interact this way. It's really feasible, and it will take like maybe an hour to set up. This is just how powerful is this technology. And we talk about Bitcoin, but a lot of startups today have created similar assets. So tokenized an asset or created a token to enable a community to interact and to exchange value. So by educating entrepreneurs, I think they will understand the potential, and it will really accelerate their business, because we have here technology that can put 7-8 billion, no matter how many people we are, on the same infrastructure and help them to interact and exchange value. And this is really powerful. So yeah, I think I don't know in terms of time how we're doing. I don't see any other questions here.
Yeah. Maybe if I can add
Sure.
something that kind of speaks to the human world and digital world comments, and actually to your last point. I think especially in emerging markets where we work, one of the things that we're very mindful of is that it's not necessarily a challenge of getting to convince everyone to use blockchain or its account for a lot of our users. Because you certainly could have those use cases where it's blockchain is up front and center. But almost when we think about this, a lot of times we think about it almost like Visa or MasterCard, where all of us probably have a Visa or MasterCard or American Express or whatever it might be. But I have no idea how that technology works. I have no idea how it's reconciled in the back end. But now that enough people have it, you don't even need to really occupy yourself with learning the mechanics. It's just sort of, this infrastructure is set, and now we can start bringing on more people like that, or more merchants onto that network like that. And when we're building our products, we kind of have that mindset. So the human world that we usually think about, it's usually like the human behaviors. Not necessarily. I know that the intention of the question was sort of like, how do you exchange a contract or deliver a service that then gets captured in our case behaviors, the mindset for people engaging with the technologies.
Sorry, Oliver, I think you were breaking at the end, so I don't know if you end up with a question or.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay. Yeah. Upma, Azra, I see that.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think this was a really good conversation. I know at parts we couldn't hear Oliver, but we will get the answers properly. And when we send you the email, follow-up email, we can share those answers with you in details over there. The recording will be available to all of you. So thank you so much, Yasin and Oliver, for joining us today, and the rest of you for spending your lunch hour with us. I hope this was useful. There is a feedback form after this, so please do fill it in. It helps us bring you the right relevant content. So thank you so much for joining us, and have a wonderful rest of the week and the long weekend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank